Hey folks, my name's Andrew Freck. Today I want to briefly talk to you about my thoughts on the Hrokz 10-foot dust barrier pole system and if it was worth picking up or not. Now, just to be completely fair, I did receive this from Hrokz for free to provide my honest thoughts and opinions. So anyways, let's dive into this dust barrier pole system and see if it's worth picking up or not. Alright, so as you can see, I've set these things up to my ceiling here, and I don't have any work that I actually got to do around the house that's going to require tarps, but I do want to show you this process so you can see how they look when everything's said and done, and how it should look when you put the tarp up to these poles. Here's the bag with the extra 2 poles, and then I have the tarps inside, so I'm going to unravel them, and let's do this. This is a massive tarp. It's huge. Okay, so this tarp is gigantic. It is beyond large. I mean, this thing continues on and on and on. This is enormous. All right, so we might not be using a tarp. So I'll be honest, I might not be using the tarp right now because it is ginormous. Like, it is abnormally large. This might take up my whole living room and dining room together. So I'm going to probably use a smaller tarp and something that's going to be a little less see-through. So you'll get the same effect, but I probably won't be using the actual tarp itself because it is huge. Hey, you know, it's a great tarp. So at the end of the day, it's a great tarp because it's really big. It's a thick tarp as well. So I think that a lot of people are going to find this very useful. However, I think for the majority of people, you're probably going to want to cut this in half in order to use it for your doorway entryways or whatever you're going to be trying to block the dust out of. All right, so this is what I'm probably going to put up instead. This is just a white tarp. It's like a kind of a painter's tarp. Actually, this is a real painter's tarp, but this might be a little bit more than I want to put up anyways. This is probably going to be closer to the size of my entryway, so I'm going to put this one up instead, and we're going to have a look at it when that's all said and done. All right. So yeah, this is the tarp, or at least my makeshift tarp, as well as the poles. We're going to talk about some of the features now, so let's go ahead and dive into it. So I'm standing really close to my ceiling right now, as you can see, but I just want to talk about some of the features of this thing, and a lot of them have to do with this little spring up here, as well as the foam padding, because it creates a nice good seal when you are working on any kind of construction things, whether you're painting, whether you're tearing down a wall, or whether you're just trying to avoid having extra dust float around the house in different rooms that you're not working in. This is going to be very helpful for helping seal that off. So I got a nice good seal up here, and technically I could have made it even tighter if I wanted to, as well as on the bottom side if I really wanted to make sure it was super sealed up. But this is going to be really good to make sure I have a strong, nice, tight seal without having to damage any of the roofing or the floor because of the foam padding. There are actually 2 different options here. So you can get the 10-foot poles or the 12-foot poles, depending on the ceiling size, that can extend all the way up and be able to protect everything that you're working on. So I'll provide you a good view of one of the poles here. I have 4 poles in total, 2 of them, of course, hanging these things up, and I have 4 foam pads that go up against the ceiling to make sure that you don't rub any paint off while you are working. So one of the things that happens with these poles is that they actually extend all the way out here from this small size here, included with the carrying bag and the tarps, to all the way out, and I'll kind of keep pulling it out. And you have an extremely long pole that extends so far out, I can't even probably show you the entire length of it because it will hit one of the walls. So this thing is extremely tall. Actually, I believe this is probably the 12-foot one. And here's another look. So this is the foam padding right here that you can see, and it has this really nice soft padding that's going to be very firm when you press it up against the ceiling, as well as little ball joints right here. So you can kind of press this down. Offers a little bit of a spring to it, so when you are using it, you can actually see, and I'll show you right there. You see that ball joint, and on the bottom side, you actually have rubber pad, kind of just like classic rubber feet. So when you pop it on, you pop this little part into the ball joint up there, and it does this little that pop. And because of that, now you have a swivel. So you have the swivel on the platform that's here that's going to go up against your ceiling, and it makes it a little bit more flexible for when you are placing things or the tarp up against the ceiling to help seal it in. And then when you're said and done, you kind of pull it apart, pops right back out. So technically when you're placing this, you actually take this part right here, and you know how it swivels back and forth, you snap that on, but you snap this off to create a great seal between the part of the tarp that you're going to be placing. So I'll show you right here. So we show you in this little area. You'll place this there, right in between, and we're going to clamp it in. And now you have a solid seal on both sides. So that's how you're actually supposed to place it. I did it wrong when I set it up, but you're supposed to place it this way, and then you put the ball joint on there, and everything else is the same. So now you actually have this room right there. And overall, I really do find this thing to be very useful. If you do a lot of construction work, or even have to do some work on your house, but don't want the dust to spread everywhere, this is going to be extremely handy to have because it's super easy to set up. The poles are light, they come in a carrying case, and you get a tarp with it. And it's just overall a full package to be able to block off any kind of openings so that the dust stays confined into a room. And though the tarp might have been a little bit too hard for me to set up, you see you get tons of tarp with this. And it's actually, you get about 32.8 feet by 14.7 feet of tarp. So you got a lot of tarp to use. And like I said, I could probably stretch all the way across my living room and dining room, and I still have some more tarp to use. And really, this whole thing is just an all-in-one solution. And I appreciate it so much because if I do any kind of heavy duty work, I got the carrying bag that's going to be stored in my garage, as well as the already existing tarp, and then the 4 poles, all of which easily fit into this bag. The bag's plenty large to be able to hold that and more. Honestly, if you want to put more tarps in there, you can probably store them all within this bag. So yeah, that is the Hrokz 10-foot dust barrier pole system. I hope this information helped you out. Until next time, my name is Andrew Freck. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.